Welcome back, crew. We are back with another guide today. This time we have a guide into Moria. Moria is a very, very strong leader in the Western OP14 meta. Let's jump into this guide because this is something we do need to talk about. So before we get into any of the decks and any of the strategies, first I want to talk about the data. Now this is data from over in the East, and this is what I've been using predominantly in my build, in my thinking, in my preparation for my upcoming Nats. Now this one here, if you'll note, it doesn't have any data on the black-yellow Moria. And the reason for this is Moria wasn't really a strong enough leader over in the East that it warranted such data. As such, I didn't have anything to suggest that this was actually a tricky matchup for us. But I do want to talk about, I've checked out Eggman's video. He released one at the start of the week. If you haven't seen that, do check it out. I'm not going to pop any of his content on my screen, but I will just talk quickly about what that data was suggesting. Now, the data was taken from the sim. It is sim ranked games, I believe. Now, with this game data though, I take it with a grain of salt, because in the sim you typically see a lot of builds being used that I guess people are just trying things out. And when they're trying things out, they're learning from it, but they're skewing data. So don't take, a 50% win rate as it's going to be 50%. Our deck might have a 55% win rate or something like that. So just take it for a grain of salt. But what we can take from it is it can suggest trickier matchups versus not trickier matchups. And what Eggman's data was suggesting was Doffy has losing matchups. I'm going to use losing lightly. Losing matchups into Eam, Ace, Boa, and into Moria here. And I want to say my build is typically a little bit different to what most of the Doffy players are playing, because the Doffy players at the moment, they're typically taking the lists from over in the East, and those lists, they're not running Viola, they're not running Bullet String, they're a little bit different from my list. They're taking those lists from the East and bringing it to the West. And we've just talked about this data here. We don't have Moria over in the East. There's going to be a lot of differences over in the East as to what we've got here. So bringing an East list to this and then expecting it to have the same sort of performance, it's not going to happen. You need to adapt your list to actually contend with this current meta. And I feel as though my list has done a good job of that. As I said, I'm running Viola. Viola is very defensive. I don't have the same issues into Ace as, this other Doffy, the other Doffy lists have. I don't have the same troubles into Eam. Boa, I'm finding a lot easier. And you know what? I think we're fine into Moria as well. Although I think our list is going to be fairly similar in what we need to use in our deck as the Eastern Doffys. With that out of the way, let's have a look at some of the things in our deck. Okay, so first off, our general strategy into the Moria matchup. This general strategy page is taken from our Boa guide. And the reason is it is very similar in the feel to how you're playing it. There are some very key differences, but first of all, let's talk about some of the similarities. With Boa, Boa triggers out stuff from the life onto the field. Moria does the same thing. Their triggers are triggering bodies onto the field, and they're of the same sort of 5k attacking range. They kind of do go wide on you a little bit, so we do need to have some of our defense up our sleeve. But one of the big differences is Moria wants to go a little bit taller than Boa does typically. Moria is trying to get down their Boa and their Moria. They're, both that 10 cost range, or both 10k attackers. So typically they're going to have higher power into your deck, and this is where the Nora Beam is going to be a little bit more useful in this matchup compared to the Boa matchup, where the Boa matchup, you're more using these cards here. We still do have the same problems with Baby 5 into their 9-cost Boa that, triggering the, using this effect too early might, incite them to use their 9-cost Boa and just take that life straight away. So we do need to play the Baby 5 very carefully into this matchup. Viola is always good no matter the matchup. She does prevent the go wide, she prevents the go tall, and she gets these events that we need back into our hand. So Viola is always good. But we're going to take a slightly different strategy because they're going tall. And the other key difference between Boa and Moria is when you take something out on Boa's field, it's gone. When you take something out on Moria's field, it's a setup for the next play. So you are in a lose-lose situation attacking their board, but you have to attack their board to win. Very, very tricky, and I think this is why this matchup is a little bit harder for the Doffy deck. But you take the right approach and it's still going to be fine. Don't worry, it's still fine. I feel as though this is a 50-50 matchup. I feel as though you see the right cards and you're going to have a really, really good time. If they don't find one particular card, we have no problems. I'm going to talk about that card soon. What I do want to talk about is our beaters. These ones are going to be our general strategy. We want to go tall. We want to try and get, 3 or 4 of these out and just attack into them. We have to attack board first. When we go to attack life, this is a key thing for winning this game. When we attack life, we attack low. We attack at the 5k level. We're trying to get as little value back for them for their decision, because they're in a win-win situation. We want to give them as little value for their decision. So if we attack 5, they go, well, do we take this one or do we defend it? If they defend it, we take one from hand. This is good. We want to deplete their hand with our strategy. Want to deplete their hand so we can attack into their big characters and take them down. If they defend from hand, great. If they take the life, they're likely to trigger. I reckon 70% of the time they're triggering something out. They're likely to trigger. We want to have a body on the board to attack into that body that they trigger out, because the only card that triggers out a active character is their 8-cost Moria. If they get the 8-cost Moria in life, they can trigger out an active. Otherwise, they're triggering out a rested character from their trash. Trigger out a rested, we attack into it, it's back in trash. We manage to take a life and maintain the board state. So we attack the board state. This is how our turn sort of looks. We attack the board state, try and attack into one of the bigger characters, then we attack one at life. Then with our leftover character, we attack the board. If they defend our Doffy leader, then we don't do that last attack. We're okay with not doing that last attack. You want to gamble and hope that they don't trigger, go for it. Or if you think you're healthy enough that it doesn't matter and you've got, say, a Rosie on the field and a Noro up your sleeve, go for that last attack. But if you need to play very cautiously, don't do that last attack. Anyway, that is sort of our general strategy into this matchup, and we'll see more about that in the games. All right, so let's talk about our deck here. I don't want to spend too long on the deck because we talk about this every video. By now, you probably don't want to hear about our deck anymore. It's more about what the Moria deck is doing. But if this is the only guide that you're looking at, then I do need to cover it. So here is the deck. I am not running Portia anymore because our meta isn't aggro enough to run her. She is okay into this matchup. She is not as important in this matchup as she would be in a Boa. Let's have a look at the deck as a whole. I break it up into components because breaking it up into components helps your decision making when playing these things out. So first up, we've got our ramp on play. Ramp on play, very important for the Moria matchup because we're trying to get to our big characters as soon as possible. This means that we need to get these ramp on play cards out as soon as possible. We can get Sugar out on 4 Don. We can get Monet out on 5 Don. These are the ones that we want to go for. Baby 5 also ramps on play. She is our last priority to get out on play in this game. Sugar is also great because you can hide things behind the sugar. It can work against their Perona. I haven't talked about their Perona yet, but their Perona is a key card of theirs. The Perona, it will stop your characters from attacking. Sometimes this can work well. If they're a good player, it probably won't. If they have 3 or less Don, they can't play the Perona out. And if they can't play the Perona out, then you know you can freely redirect into the sugar to trigger out something like a Virgo to then use Virgo's. Virgo will be able to attack on your next turn. If they've got 4 Don left, which typically happens, you redirect into the sugar from their last attack, you trigger out Virgo, then they play the Perona down and lock down Virgo. This is the problem with the deck. The Perona can lock down these 5-cost characters. Anyway, let's jump into the next component. The next component is the ramping on opponent's turn. Also very important, Dallinger here is actually one of the best cards in our deck for this matchup. Believe it or not, aside from our beaters, which we'll talk about in a second, Dallinger is so good because we can redirect into Dallinger for free. So our leader does Negadon, and this is why the ramp on opponent's turn is so important, is so we don't go backwards too quickly. So Negadon from our leader, redirect into Dallinger. Dallinger gets that Don back, and we get to search. He replaces himself with a search. Essentially, this is a free block for 1 cost. Really good. Also, ramping on opponent's turn, we have the Monet. She gets 2. So if you're using leader effect, she's a +1. Treble, when you Negadon, you get 1 back. So this is really handy if you are going negging a Don from leader, you get 1 back, then redirect into Dallinger, now you're +1. Typically in this match, don't use Treble at all. Treble is a 2k counter, leave him as a 2k counter. You have other ways to get your Don back, and that is mostly with the Doffy here. This Doffy, when you've got 1 active Don, you can rest that to gain 1 active, so essentially netting 1 rested Don. This Doffy is going to be needed as a beater and to get multiple bodies out on the field. Because you're going to have 1 to 2 of these on the field in this matchup, you won't have a purpose for this Treble. This Treble can also get attacked by the Perona, so just steer clear of this Treble. You're better off to get something else on the board and not worry about this getting Don back effect, because you'll get it down eventually, or otherwise you're going to lose anyway. I've also got Sugar in here because Sugar is the only way we can actively get an active Don on our opponent's turn, which can be important if we're trying to play tricks. Sugar is our trick card. She has lots of tricks up her sleeve, and this is one of them. If we do use her on KO effect, we get to play out a 5-cost body or lower. That could be a Monet, could be a Baby 5. These ones here gain an active Don. Because it's gaining an active Don, if I had 1 Don up and I gain an active, now I can play a Nora Beam, which when they were planning out their turn, they didn't foresee. So she can get a trick out through this. So no, she doesn't ramp directly, but she can bring out a ramp character. The only other way we can get an active Don on our turn, on our opponent's turn, is through triggering out the Nora Beam. And we have no way to guarantee that's in our life, so don't rely on that. But I do want to mention this is another way we can ramp on our opponent's turn. So we also have some on-KO effects. Our on-KO effects is the core of our deck. This is how we get our actions happening. Some of them do have minus Don effects that we can use on our opponent's turn as well. This is important to keep track of because we don't want to go too low. We want to be able to get this 10 cost out at any time. We certainly need to be playing out the 8s and 10s each turn in the later game, so do not go too low. Viola, Baby 5, and these 2 here, these all can neg Don on our opponent's turn, and they can bring us down like neg 3 quite easily. And your leader, if you neg with your leader, redirect into Viola, get KO'd, use a Nora Beam before you get KO'd, and then use Viola effect. This is a neg 1, neg 1, neg 1. Neg 3, we gain 2 Don every turn. We're going backwards here. We don't want to do this too often. We can counteract this with the Doffy effect anyway, but just be aware we don't want to go too low. For our on KOs, we have some strong ones in here. Baby 5 is strong. She can get counteracted by their 9-cost boa though. Be aware of that. Monet we talked about. Dellinger we talked about. Sugar we talked about. Viola can get us any event really strong. And yeah, let's move on to the important stuff here. The beaters. The beaters are what wins us games. So we have these two are going to be our biggest beaters. We need Virgo as well. Between these three, so Virgo is really good to neg 2000 power off their boa because we can't just take out their boa. So neg 2000 off the boa, attack into it with the Doffy here. Then we can attack 10 into 8. It's the way we take down their boa. We then have these big bodies that we can just keep around on the board, attacking into low characters and just employing that strategy of attack low into life with something like this and attack low into life and then take out the thing that they trigger out. The other important part about these two is they're not stopped by their Brona. Their Brona can stop attackers like 5-cost attackers, so these two will be constantly locked down by the Brona. They're just going to be constantly locked down by Brona. You get around their Brona by playing out the big bodies. This is how we do it. We just need to maintain our own life long enough that this can happen. Resters can help us maintain our life. They do also have a 3-cost blocker. So Uso Hachi can take that down and then you can attack through. Typically, you're not going to use Uso Hachi for that though. He is a 2k. Same with the Sanji, he is a 1k. You can take, rest their 6-cost Moria. With the Sanji though, can be useful, but typically you're not going to use the Sanji in this matchup. Noro Beam you definitely will be using. Noro Beam will rest down one of their big characters. We need the Noro. And then events, Noro, as I said, resting. Bullet String not as important into this matchup as I suggested earlier. And Divine Departure is a really good card, but we're not really going to need its main effect. We're mostly going to be using just that counter just to stay defensive. All right, let's talk about the best part here, the key cards in their deck. Now, they have the Moria, they have the Hancock. These two here are going to be putting in a lot of work into our field. The Brona is going to be constantly resting our field. With these 3 cards, these are the 3 most dominant cards on their board. But I did suggest there is a card here which gives us a lot of grief. Do you guys know which card is the most threatening to our deck on this page? If you know, put a glasses face emoji in the comments and be like, yeah, I'm that guy. I know what's up here. Well, if you're that guy, then you've probably experienced the pain of this deck. And the most painful card in this list, I think, personally, I feel as though it is this Hogback. This Hogback stops our strategy. And the best strategy we can have against this deck, as I said, is hit 5 into life. They trigger something out, we attack it. If they trigger this one out, it triggers out rested, you attack into it, it KOs, then they can bring back something active. This just ruins our strategy because it means they can go wide on the board and we can't do anything about it. And if we take this thing down, it goes back into their trash so they can do it again. So, first up, if you are to attack into life and you plan on doing multiple attacks into life, if you've got 3 attackers, hit their life twice. If they've got this in their trash, hit their life twice. Attack one on the field. Don't attack this one. Attack the other one. That way you can minimize what they got on the field and you get the extra attack in. This may help, right? This may help. If they don't have this in their trash, you are up for a very good game. If they don't have this in the trash, you are likely to win. And I think this is the card that people hadn't picked up on over in the East. And typically what would happen is the Moria player would trigger something out, bring back a Barona, lock something down. But they weren't utilizing bring it back a Barona, this gets attacked. Then, because what would happen is they bring back a Barona, you'd attack the Barona, it double triggers the same thing twice, doesn't really matter. But if you do it into the hogback, you still get the Barona and you get to attack with it next turn. And you're setting this up for it happening turn after turn. Very strong card. This is one of the most problematic cards for us in the game. If you feel like running a top knot though, this wouldn't be a problem. I'm not prepared to do that, but if you want to take against the Moria specifically, throw in top knot over, say, bullet string, and say goodbye to their 4 cost. They're going back into the deck. Really key card, deal with it with a top knot. That would be fun. Anyway, let's have a look at the other cards they've got here. Barona. So their Barona is a key card. It is locking you down turn after turn. We beat this one by having the bigger bodies on the field that it can't touch. It will be hitting our Virgo. That is probably the key card. It'll also hit our Monet, but Monet isn't as crucial because we're just going to redirect into Monet, get her on KO effects, and off we go onto our 10 cost, taking things down. The other key things to highlight here is I don't see a lot of lists run the Rayleigh, but Rayleigh here's a possibility. And this Rayleigh will be KOing stuff on your field. Once we get to our bigger bodies, he's not a worry. So we get the Virgo down early. We're protected from this. We use the Virgo to take down a Boa. Virgo's probably done his job at that point. If we have to lose him, we lose him. We'd rather not, but we don't really need to re-establish another Virgo, usually at that point. Just play down another 10 costs. They can't deal with the 10 costs. The other sort of surprise card that you might find in these lists, which I did see once, was Nosturo. Nosturo is a rush black character, so he does exist. He might be in a list. Do be aware of that, but typically not one that you need to worry about. The things that you do need to worry about is these other cards. So let's talk about what Sindri does. We have the 3 cost blocker here. This blocker can trigger out from a Moria. And in terms of key cards, the majority of their cards will trigger things onto their field. This is a problem in general for decks to handle. They trigger things out rested though. This Moria is the only thing that triggers out active. So they get this one, they trigger out this active. The other thing to worry about is this one here. This one here, as I said, it is the worst card to deal with, but if you KO this, they can trigger out this active, then they've got something to defend with. So do be aware of that. If you're going for game, you're going for game. If you're trying to take the board, you're trying to take the board. You're not trying to do both. That's all I want to say about this. We'll talk about how to go for game in a sec. Sindri is their turn 1 play. We'll see the curve in a moment. But this card here is setting up their trash to then utilize their trigger effect. So what you want to do is after they play the Sindri out, check what is in the trash because that is their current strategy. You can see what their strategy is. You counteract this by looking at their trash. Do they have this in the trash? Do they have this in the trash? Do they have this Barona in the trash? What are they about to do to us? And then we can play around that. So very open on what you need to play around in this deck. This works to our advantage. This Barona here is often just played early just to take one from your hand. Not a big deal. Don't worry too much about it, but it exists. So let's just throw that in there. That'll likely happen to you when you're playing this deck. The cards to worry about though, I think this hogback, any hogback, you see a hogback, it is dangerous. This hogback here is it just gets their game happening, right? What happens is they use their trigger effect, they bring this one out. All of a sudden, they are bringing one from their trash into their hand. So they use Barona. Let's take Barona for an example. They play Barona, they rest one of you down. They trash Barona, they rest one of you down. They then trigger out, one of their triggers. Instead of bringing Barona down, what they do is they bring out Hogback. hog back then brings Brona to hand, so next turn they can do a double again. This just sets them up so they've got an extra card in hand, you know, to do more with and allow them to play things out as well. So very strong card, very strong card. Don't underestimate this on here. The other key card we do need to know about, which we haven't talked about, is the 6-cost Moria. Just plays out something from the trash. So another way to get this Brona back out. Brona is their typical target that they want to be using because it locks down the board, but they might want to play the Brona through these other effects like this one, like this one, like this one. They will be bringing Brona out in many different ways. So do be aware that these things do synergize with Brona particularly. These are the key cards. The other key card is their leader. Let's talk about their leader for a sec because I haven't really mentioned that in this video. What their leader is doing, their leader can KO, so they can get their on KO effects. KOs to gain 1000 across their board. Very strong, and it's 1000 across all of their characters. The other thing that they're able to do is get rid of cards from their hand, 2 cards from their hand. I think it was 2 cards from their hand to gain the life. And gaining the life presents a situation where they could get another trigger. So it's not the worst for them. However, I like when they do that because I'd rather them have a low hand than high life. I'd rather them have a low hand and a high life than have a big hand and a low life. Big hands are bad, so let's let them use that effect. That's no worries. They want to do that, they can do that. That is their key cards. Sort of talked about how we're getting around it, but let's look at their curve because we'll understand a little bit more from that. So I'm going to talk about mostly their curve because we know what we want to do in our curves. We want to ramp. We want to ramp and get our high cost characters down, but let's talk about that curve because we can sort of do things around this. So I think their best curve is actually when they go second. When they go second, they can play the Sindri on curve, get their trash sorted. Turn 2, they're playing out one of their 4 costs, probably Brona if they can. Turn 3, on curve, 6, they're playing out Moria for 6. And, what they're probably going to do is use this is what they could do, right? They play out the Brona. Turn 3, before they play out the Moria, they attack with Brona, use then the leader effect to trash the Brona, lock one of you down, and then gain 1000 here, play the Moria, bring the Brona back, and then, attack with this Moria. You're doing a lot of things in this curve. Turn 4, they can then bring out this 4-cost Moria, place something from trash into their life, and establish this big body. Then turn 5, establish another life and KO one of your life and, attacking with these things. This is a very, very strong curve. Very strong curve. They can do so much with it. This is definitely the curve that they want. They want to go second. So now let's look at their going 1 curve. Going 1, Sindri with 1 Don. 3 Don, they could play the other Sindri as a blocker. You don't normally see this, but if they've got nothing else they can do, maybe that's all they do. They might be establishing something else low that they may have in the deck. But yeah, they're typically just going to be attacking you with that Don at this. It's a very awkward turn for them when they go first. Going turn 3, 4 Don, play out Brona, 1 Don spare, attack. Basically it's the same as they're going 2 curve at this point, but everything's sort of offset. So the Moria is now offset as well. The Hancock is able to come down on curve, but then they can't play the Moria on curve. It's like one of these two, and then the other one is the turn after. So we're basically delaying their high end in this going first curve. In this curve, the bullet string is probably going to be a little bit better. If they're going first, bullet string is a little bit better. And we're not going to need to deal with high as much as we do wide in this particular scenario. They are going to be applying a lot more pressure onto our life because they're going to have the extra Don to swing with every turn. So we are going to be, even though this isn't as good of a curve for them, it is going to put more pressure on us. So I actually kind of like when they go second more but I think either is sort of equal for us. So they both have their pros and cons. At this point, I don't know if I prefer first or second. I think I've won more times going first than I have second. So I'd probably pick first, but I'm still sort of undecided. They've both got their pros and cons. Let's have a look at our curve and what this sort of means. I'm going to use them both at the same time, but I want to just talk about this a little bit more in detail. So with our curve, when we go first, what we want to do, this really sets us up to win. What we want to do is play Dellinger turn 1. If we can play Dellinger and Sugar turn 2, we are up for a good game. We are up for a good game. If we saw these two and a ramp in our opening hand, we are up for a good game. And the reason why Dellinger is so important is because of these attacks that they're going to do into us. So let's take this curve for example. On turn 3, they're attacking with this and this. That's 2 attacks, right? And if we can have one go into a Sugar and the other into a Dellinger, then we're going into here. We're going into this turn here, and we've only taken 2 attacks. We're probably able to eliminate Brona. And then that turn maybe taking 2, probably taking 1 and defending 1. So if we can get to this stage here, where on their turn 5, we have 4 life, they play this down, they bring us down to 3, then all of a sudden we're going to have a fairly good game. So I'm going to just jump back to our curve for a sec here. So let's have a look at this. We're talking about them going second, us going first. If we go first, it also means on our turn 5, we could potentially play this Doffy. And if we get this Doffy out on turn 5, it means we can also deal with this on turn 5. So it does mean that we're only taking, and we can probably take out this with one of our characters, it probably means that we're only taking the 1 life here on their turn 5. They've got us down to 3 and it stays there. If we can be at 3 life on turn 5, we are looking very strong. We are looking very, very strong. And Dellinger and Sugar set us up for that. So why do I say that? It's because at this point here, we can then just keep pressuring their board. They're not able to pressure us enough to go for game. So we can just attack for board and then chip away at their leader and their board. Like have that strategy, attack the boa, take it down or take their hand. Then from that point, attack 1 into Moria, then attack it into their triggered character. This is the way to go forward from that turn 5. Let's have a look. So we go on 1, 2. This is what we do here. Turn 3 and 4, we're just trying to play out our rampers. Monet, I put her first because this is on curve and she's a little bit stronger. Sugar is just fine though, because Sugar, we can trigger out into a Virgo. We get the Virgo out. We want to see both of these. If we only see one, that's okay, but we'd love to see both of them. Turn 5, we could do a Doffy turn, or we might do a 10 cost turn. So if we see one of these here, maybe we do on turn 4, we might do actually this Doffy into Sugar, and then turn 5, we do just this 10 cost Doffy here. So any of these combinations will be fine, but it really depends on how their curve eventuates. If they do drop the Moria, we do want to counter that with a Doffy on curve, and that'll just set us up really cleanly. So I hope the curve sort of made sense. I hope the general strategy is making sense here. I think we can have a clean game if we see the cards we need. And as I sort of talked about in the data section, I didn't have a problem with Moria, and I think that's because I was finding good curves in those games, and they weren't finding the hogback, the yellow hogback in those games. So if they don't find the hogback and you find your stuff, their Moria is nothing. You can take down their Moria and they go, why was I even playing this deck? If they find their stuff, it becomes a really grueling battle and it will go, into 9 turns. This is a very long game. Play it smart. You need to play it slow. The thing that we do potentially have going for us, the thing that we need to do is, if you do see the chance to take them down, because if you delay it a turn, they play a boa down, they're taking a life, they're gaining a life, they're establishing a board, and it just makes it all that much harder to attack into. So if you see the opportunity, go for it. In the game, I'm going to show you the second one. I don't go for it, but I'm still going to present this one because it still shows how we can win. Okay, so we talked about the curve. Let's actually talk about the win con a little bit more here. So the Moria win con, this is a typical board here. And this is what you're going to see, turn 5 onwards. We hopefully are taking some of these things out using our effects, but, they're just going to build this board back up to this sort of state constantly. So I want to talk about this as a whole, our defense here, because we can easily defend this stuff. This Doffy here is a lot stronger in this matchup than it is in Boa. And we do want to utilize effects because these ones here are going to attack into us. And if we can minimize what they're attacking into us while, setting up the rest of the defense for low cost on our part, then we can chip away at them. And they swing everything and we can swing back. But if we can rest everything, we can go into their life quite freely and just chip away at that. And if they've got a full board and we go into life, they trigger something out, they're playing over their own characters, and that is a win for us as well. So let's have a look here. Doffy here can rest these 3 down. They can't attack for the next turn. We then could use a Nora beam. If they attack with one of these 2, we Nora the other one, and we redirect. Maybe we do a block the other one. So block, Nora beam, rest 1, block the other, 3 arrested from a Doffy. We get a Nora back from this one getting KO'd. Then we just have to deal with a Moria. This is a very strong position for us. Maybe we then redirect the Moria into here. We don't even need the extra life. We're going to gain a life from this attack. Thing we do need to be careful of is if we've got 1 life, or let's say we've got no life, and we redirect into this baby 5. Redirect into the baby 5, we get a life back. They still have 9 Don left, and they play down the Boa, taking that last life. We do need to be cautious of this Boa taking that last life and then pushing for a game with, another card. So do be aware that that is a play that they do want to do against us. Baby 5 isn't the best one for us in this particular game. If you're going to use Baby 5, use it as an early attack so they need to commit their 9 Don early. And then you sort of know how to deal with the rest of the board. Maybe you take the baby life first before your Nora beam. And that way, when they do play out that Boa Hancock, you get to Nora that one down and attack into it on their next turn. Something like that. You want to play not into their game. And they do know what Baby 5 does. So I sort of digress from the win con here. We can shut down their board quite easily for a turn, possibly 2. We want to attack back into their big characters. Don't worry about the small characters. Attack back into the big characters, setting up our board, chipping away at their life or chipping away at their hand, so then we can bust out and take their life all at once. Don't worry too much about their triggers because their triggers aren't defensive triggers. Only thing that can help is the Moria there. So if they've got, 3 life and you've got 4 attackers, you're likely to go through. 4 big attackers this is. You want to kind of get them down to 2 life though. I think you can, it's a bit of a stretch to get them when they've got 3. If they've got 2, you can probably take them. I think you can take them at 2. 1, shoo-in. 1, you just go for it. 2, I think you should go for it. Let's have a look at how this plays out in the games. All right, we have Moria here. We're going first. And this is a pretty good hand. We got the Dallinger here. We got the Sugar here. Rosinante's a pretty good card into this matchup as well because it allows us to keep playing the high cost characters and keep our defense. Dallinger down, key for winning this game. He is down. They're on their 2 Don turn. They find a Sindri, and what's in their trash here? They have 2 Sindris and the black Hogback. All right, so let's play down our Sugar, use the Sugar, and we'll grab the only ramp card here, which is the Baby 5. We have no other ramp in hand, so we need to grab that Baby 5 here. Viola is also a good choice, so is at 8 cost. All right, so let's just attack. We attack 6. 6 is a bad number. 6 means they're not going to defend it from hand. 6 means they're taking this life. And let's see what they're triggering back. They could get the Sindris back here or the Hogback. And the Hogback can get those Sindris back into hand. Or, yeah, the Sindris are probably back in hand. And most importantly, the trigger that they used was the yellow Hogback. And that yellow Hogback is something that's very hard for us to deal with. So it's going to be a tough game. We don't want to play the going into board game because that'll delay it to turn 9. All right, the Sindri also attacks into the sugar, which means 2 attacks at face, and they use the KO effect to on the Sindri to buff both their character and leader. I'm gonna take this one, redirect the other one. We don't want to go too low here. That was a great play by them. This is a strong Moria player. And redirect, we get we want to take a sugar. Sugar is our trick card. She is ramp. She's a better ramp than Baby 5 here, so let's take it. 5 Don would prefer Monet, but sugar is a great option. Let's play the sugar down. We've got our ramp, so now we'll be able to play our 10 cost on turn 5, which is when we want to play it. Okay, attack in there. Just trying to deplete the hand. They use a brickbat to get out of that one. And the brickbat was probably the card that they got from their Hogback, not the Sindri. All right, 5 at face. Just taking this one. We don't have a lot. I didn't want to get rid of our only other... we've only got 2 counters here. Didn't want to get rid of our ramp or our Rosinante at this point. And yeah, they KO'd that same card again. So beefing up their characters, just trying to put a lot of pressure into us right now. Not a bad trigger. We're on 2 life though. And if we redirect now, they're probably just going to shut down whatever we place down. So let's use this card. Use one of the Nora beams. We have a Viola in hand, so we can always get a Nora beam back. And they played down that painful one there. Okay, so let's go wide here. Let's get this down and let's go into the ramp. So we got 1 active. We can maintain our Don size. Sets us up later. And we got the sugar down anyway, so we can get this Virgo down when we need. All right, Perona. We need to trash 1 from hand. Get rid of the sugar. Sugar's no good at this point in the game. And yeah, we're going to have to do something here. We don't want to go, like, they could pressure us really, really hard here. So let's redirect into the sugar. They've only got 3 Don, so we can play down the Virgo freely. They're not going to Perona it. KO again. They're KOing every turn, this Moria here. Beefing up these characters, putting so much pressure. 7 now into face. And we're just going to have to take it. We've already done our redirect, so we're going to take this one as well. This would be looking quite grim, but actually it's not too bad. It's not too bad here. What we can do is let's attack face first to see what triggers out. Okay, they defend it. Defending's good. It's sort of a tricky one. The reason why we're going here is I can always take 1 out from their board and then use my 10 cost to rest the 3 remaining. So if they triggered something out, which they defended again, we may as well just attack board at this stage. There's no point going for that extra attack and leaving something on the board that they can attack us with. And because of this, right, because we have the baby 5 down, I can just do the KO instead of the no rest effect. And the KO is a little bit stronger here because it sets us up for ongoing turns where the resting is only for 1 turn. So let's KO the thing without the on KO effect. And baby 5 here can save us, although we need to watch out. Boa, and yeah, they haven't attached any Don. We definitely are up for a Boa here. All right, so here's the other thing. They do KO it, so they've got the extra here. They could throw 1 Don onto this and hit 7 at face. So we're going to have to hope that the life... So we're going to have to redirect into baby 5 here, I think. Even though they're going to bowl it away. But they did attack before the bowler, so... I think we sequence this the right way. So gain the life, likely to lose it here. Yeah, there's the boa. And back down to 0. They're on 4 life, quite a predicament. But we did get a viola from that life. We got 2 violas in hand. We got a Nora here. 7 Don. So yeah, attack the 5 into face. And that was without trigger. I think we can go another one at face here and just... sorry, they did get a trigger. They got the deadly card that we hate. But we don't want to attack into that one, so let's attack again. They didn't trigger that time. Attack again, leaving the 9 cost to... Oh, okay, no trigger again. None that they could put onto the board. I think at this stage we're just best off attacking life because we attack at this hog back and they just bring something back out. So let's just attack life here. Got the last life, nothing triggered out. A little bit lucky there. But we got the viola down and we end turn there because we have viola as 1 layer of defense. We got a Nora beam to rest one of these 2 down. And when viola KOs, we grab that Nora beam back and potentially anything else that comes down we could rest or just use the Nora as defense. Or maybe we go for that divine departure. So let's see how they try and approach this. This is a very tricky situation for them. And they have to go for game here. They can't really deal with the viola because Virgo's on the board. They can't attack the Virgo because then they lose the opportunity to win. They go big here. We're going to take this effect while it's here. And what we want to do is not redirect here. We want to block here. So don't use this redirect effect. I have done that once where I redirected into my blocker and that lost me the game. Losing two layers of defense with 1. Anyway, so we need to cancel this attack, redirect. We need to block. We're going to use the Noro now in that window of opportunity to rest down the hogback. The 2 does nothing, but we need to do it. We resolve, we use effect, we get the divine departure because they might want to attack at board now. And we need to keep our board. So 7 Don left, what are they going to do with it? Okay, destroy the hogback, which does bring something back as well. And it is the Brona. They can lock down the Virgo here, which stops an attack. But it just means, so if we're redirecting, you know what we're redirecting into? We just redirect into the Virgo here, and we can attack with our 9 and 10 cost, 9 and 10k bodies. Yeah, they just concede at this point. No point going forward when you can throw all your Don. You know, a 20k swing at face is not being blocked when you still got a 5 and a 9 to follow up. That is, that's how you take it down. We got a little bit lucky with the triggers there. That said, if they had have triggered something out, we could have taken it down. They would have had 1 life left here and we still would have been able to double in. And if they had have triggered something down which we couldn't take out, we still would have had a pickup of a Nora beam here to rest the other one down anyway. We had no trouble into this with that field. We got lucky with what we picked up, but we went with the strategy, loose strategy in with going big, attacking their board, attacking their life in the right sequence, and just working around that hog back, not attacking into it, attacking into the second body so they can't trigger out 2 hog backs. That is sort of the general strategy. Anyway, let's check out the game 2. As I said, I do like going first for this reason. I feel like we're able to deal with their curve a lot better. We didn't need to use the 10 cost to take out their 8 cost, but at the same time, something similar happened anyway. It would have been the same result, just slightly different. Anyway, that's typically how we do when we hit the curve that we want. Let's look at the next one. All right, we have Moria here. Black is a bit trickier with this current format, and it's not because black is being black, it's just these leaders. The Geko Moria, so strong. Speaking of strong, this is a goated hand. All we need is the 10 cost. And we're bound to find it between the Dellinger and the sugar here. Not a worry. We did get second, right? Do keep that in mind. We got second. We got first, not our second that we want. So we would need an extra ramp if we want to hit 10 really early. Other thing we can do is our classic here. So depending what they do here, if they take this, don't think we swing. Actually, probably should have done one extra on this one. Play this down because they didn't get anything down on their turn 1. Yeah, so they take, if this triggers something, it does. This can't attack. Well, that sorts out our move, right? We're just going to do this. We're going to grab the 10 and pass. And so if they do attack, we just send it into Dellinger. Dellinger's free block, so why not? And I think we still go for the sugar first, because sugar we can redirect into the sugar, bring out a Virgo, and then following turn ramp Monet, and we're still getting there on turn 5. So it will be a total of 1 ramp in all of that. See what we find here. I think we go a little bit wide here. Actually, let's get another blocker. Calling Dellinger a blocker now. Best blocker in the game. All right, and we knew that was going to happen. So I think we do try and control their board a little bit here. We are up in the life situation. We don't want, if we hit the life, it's just more bodies on the board. And we don't want it to get too out of control. So we start off, we do the sugar. If I redirect into the sugar, we're not playing this anyway. So let's do 2 up onto this. Should kill it. No. Okay, they're losing the hand. That's okay. Just means we can attack their board easier later. So they're on 6 Don, so we can use sugar effect. I could also just get out of this with a 1. But let's do this instead. Now we can really hit into them. KO. Okay, bring it back. Bring this back. Stop this from attacking. Nice. Very, very nice solid play. Take that one. All right. And this one. We got an 8. I think we go for Monet. We get one of these down. We do 2 over. We're going to hit into this. Monet's not attacking anyway, so it doesn't matter. We just try and get rid of these things a little bit. Their hand is dwindling, so this should go. Crazy, man. That is crazy. From this point on, because their hand is this low, we just attack board. If someone's hand is this low, you just attack board. Particularly on turn 4. Right, so we're on 8. We take this one. I think. Okay. Stopping the attack. We take this as well. We're getting dangerously low here. We are getting dangerously low. I think we send this into Monet. Then they attack with this. No blocker. Resolve. 2 cards. We're going to trash these because right now it's not doing anything for us. And we're going to have to take that as well. All right. That is as one nasty turn. One nasty turn. Well, let's send it in at this because what else are we going to do here? We can use this effect, shut down this board, and then redirect into Dellinger. Might be our best play. Yeah, so we'll just do that. 1, 2, 3, and I mean a KO. They'll have 10 Don. They could split 5-5. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That would be all to defend. All to defend, but then we don't have to worry about this thing anymore. Let's just do that. We redirect one in here and we defend the other. And at least this way, because the thing is, if we did the 7 thing, this turn, these don't attack. They establish a board. Then the following turn, they've got 3 on the board, none arrested. We can't attack in. And then we're facing certain doom. So at least this way, they have to push for game. Well, they don't have to. They can try and establish something, can go wide on the board. I guess that, I mean, they've still got enough life that that's not going to scare them too much. Yeah, that's solid play. 10. Okay. So we send this into Dellinger. And we want a baby 5. Yes, we do want a baby 5. This will get us out of this trouble. And that is a nice solid play that they just did. So we can Dellinger as one thing. We definitely want the baby 5. Definitely want the baby 5. I'm just thinking Viola. And baby 5 is 7. Leave 2 up for this. Let's just do a little attack here and see what that does. But between Viola and Baby 5, we should be safe. Viola, Baby 5 is 2, Viola is 1. And then if I've still got the 2 up, I think we're fine. I think I'm okay to do this, and even if it triggers something out, we're still okay. And then that'll put enough pressure on them. Trigger. What are they bringing out? Okay, yeah, not bad, not bad. So Baby 5, game 1 active. Okay, we got an extra here and this down. And we can still do a Dellinger in case they change their tact here. Actually, no, I think I want to keep as much as I can. As much counter as I can. So, even though we're on 0 life, we've got the front foot here. They are on the back foot. They need to win this turn. I don't think they could establish enough to stop us. And, you know, the threat of just one of these coming down, shutting down, if they establish a border blockers, this just comes down, stops them, and we hit through. Sorry, a different one of these stops them and we hit through. So they have to go for game this turn. They're looking at, say, 7788 as a guess, 7779. They might have something to deal with this. I can't think of anything that they've got that could rest or KO. Bit weak. Bit weak. I think they're just going to, okay, stop attack. That's fine. I mean, that's a solid play. That is a solid play. Now they can do a much more effective turn. Bring this back and stop something else. Oh, grab a Sindri for a blocker. And our Don's so high right now, I think what we'll do is redirect into the the Baby 5 here. They can do 2 7s or an 8 and a 6. So let's send it in at this here. All right. So now we're feeling quite comfortable again. And, you know, this can block one attack, take the life on the other. Like, we're doing fine here. We're in no worry. And they do something weak like this. We can just play this down. But instead, let's use 2 cards. And 1 up. And 1 up. So, yeah, I really should have played that Dellinger. Oh well. No blocker. We're just going to do this one. So we did go a bit low with our Don just then, but it's okay. It is okay. Another one of these. This is pretty strong. We could just go and attack their board now. I think what we'll do is 5 into this. What if I just threaten game here? Because in theory, Oh no, they've got the blocker. They have a blocker. We do a Dellinger. 3. I take this thing out. I take one thing of theirs out. And it's going to be this. I go in at face. This is the one that they need to block. And just imagine if I had a Sanji right now. Ooh. Yeah, Sanji would just change it right now. Okay, so now there's some problems. 1, 2, a redirect. 2 of these. I think we're just going to leave it like this. Use 2 of these. End turn. Yeah, I think we've got them fully down now. They're really jammed up in their hand. I think the best thing that they could potentially have is a Moria to heal one. We're not going to do that. I'm going to use this. Resolve, use card action, -1, grab one of these. Now we can use this bullet string. Cancel, no blocker, bullet string -1. Now we're +2 here. Now they need to attach more to be able to get out. Second blocker. And we're out of range for our Doffy again, but that's okay. I think we just keep attacking board and we'll be okay here. Could block. No blocker. Let's just do Monet. Four. Yeah, let's go into this one here. Resolve, use card action, and grab another bullet string. Okay. 1, 2, 3. I mean, that's a smart play. But what if we take this? That didn't help. That helped. That helped. That helped. We could potentially do this. They take. That is good game. Good game. Sanji, clutch win. Cool. Sanji is a very good card. And I mean, we could have done this better. We could have used Sanji to rest one of their blockers, but I really wanted to bring it down to the wire on them there. As like what they could have done is not played this out, and that would have, made it a little bit more uncomfortable for me. But it wasn't the end, because Sanji would have rested one, and then if we missed with one, if they had a card which could get out of anything, I don't think at that point they can, because they need 2 in hand. But if there was something clutch that came out, Sanji would be able to rest one of the blockers, and we'd still have 2 attacks to take game. That was hard. I think Moria is the easier of the 2. Crocodile is our hardest matchup. This one is, there's a lot more RNG involved in this deck, and it's because of the RNG, which could go either way. It could be an easy one, could be a hard one. We have the tools though to go up against this deck, so I mean, I'd call it a 50-50 sort of match. I feel like we're slightly favored. Hope you enjoy that one. Thanks all for joining me on this strategy guide here. I hope it covered everything that you need to know about this Moria matchup. It is a trickier one. It does take a lot of, thought in your sequencing of how you attack. But if you take everything that I've discussed in mind, I think you should do just fine into this matchup. There is a little bit of luck required in this. It is against the yellow deck, so RNG is always a factor. But even if they trigger the best stuff out, we still have a good chance into this deck. If you have any further questions about this matchup, or if there's any other leaders that you want to see a strategy guide on, please drop that in the comments. I do check the comments quite often, so I shouldn't miss it if I haven't responded. If you don't see a little thumbs up from me, means I probably missed the comment. It doesn't often let me know when a response to one of my comments has been made. So if I have missed it, drop another comment or something like that alone to it, and I should see that. But I do like to check them all. I like to respond. I love interacting with you guys, so keep those comments coming. If you do want to see one of those leaders though, just let me know, and I will hopefully get onto that guide as soon as I can. Thanks for watching. Until next time, look after yourselves and look after your decks.